hello and welcome to 70 Years, 70 Muppets, a Muppet fan podcast presented by ToughPigs.com. This is the podcast where we celebrate the Muppets' 70th anniversary with 70 straight weeks of spotlights on our favorite Muppet characters, from the most popular to the most obscure. I'm this week's host, Shane Keating, and the Muppet of the Week is Thog, performed by Jerry Nelson and designed by the man himself, Jim Henson, making his world debut in 1970 in the TV special, The Great Santa Claus Switch. After that special, Thog became sort of a regular in the Muppet troupe up through The Muppet Show. Then he straight up disapparated in 1980. But he made his miraculous comeback to the group in the 2011 talkie, The Muppets. And to talk more about that movie, we've got a very special guest. So please welcome to the podcast,
me, Lucas Ross. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, you're too kind.
No. Sorry, everybody. No, sorry, Lucas. You're not the guest this time. We're actually talking to somebody else.
Oh. Huh. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for having me, Lucas Ross.
Lucas Ross, everyone, I guess. Anyway, as I was saying, please welcome our very special guest.
It's me again, Lucas Ross. Hi.
Yeah, we know that. Do you, need anything?
Yes. Do you, validate parking?
Yeah, just use that machine there.
Oh, okay. Great. All right, thanks. So long. I'm Lucas Ross.
Anyway, as I was saying, our very special guest, you might know him for his famous roles as Doc Hogg or the Great Halfini, but he's also the man who played Thog in the 2011 movie The Muppets. So please give a rousing welcome to the podcast, Muppet performer Tyler Bunch.
The Great Halfini. Yeah, he was a pretty awesome character. Hello, everyone. I know you're disappointed that you're not actually hearing Lucas, but yes, Tyler Bunch here in the audio flesh.
The banjo's so overrated anyway.
Oh.
As we mentioned before, you actually played Thog in the 2011 movie The Muppets, starring Jason Segel and Amy Adams. Yeah, well, if Lucas were here, he could play a banjo fanfare.
Yeah, banjo sting, right.
Yeah, oh well. Can't have everything. So, how did you get the part of Thog?
Well, I think it was just kind of a meeting of the minds of the individuals artistically in charge. Bill Beretta, being famously a suit performer, was aware that this particular task was going to be more easily accomplished by someone who could throw a bunch of heft around on their shoulders. I think it just, by sheer size of even the original version of Thog, the thought was that someone for whom carrying a lot of weight around wouldn't be that much of a burden would be able to spend more hours in the outfit and help the production move along more swiftly, because it's not like Thog speaks or anything in the film. So it was all the visual imagery.
His mouth moves, but I don't think we hear him say anything at any point. Did you ever say, there's no microphone for you in that suit?
No microphone. And actually it was kind of freedom. Like, I probably said a couple of inappropriate things in some of the shots. Like, our first big day of work, I was sitting in that office, behind Amy Adams, and I said something sort of inappropriate that only the puppets around me could hear, and the Muppeteers around me could hear. Something about how much fun it would be to eat that little girl, referring to Amy Adams, which is inappropriate on so many levels. But who else could hear me? I thought.
It's probably true. We'll put a pin in that scene because I want to talk about that scene later. But had you done any other suit performing beforehand? I can't remember.
For the Muppets franchise, no. But
for anything in general.
I mean, Heath the Thesaurus on Between the Lions was not necessarily a body puppet for me. Jim Napolitano often did the main body scenario, and I was in a green suit outside of it with my head in his neck.
Uh-huh.
That having been said, I had done some costume and body puppet performing in my actor life / dancer life in previous years. When I was in college, I was part of a company called Wizard Works that did themed entertainment. So I've been in a gorilla, I've been in a giant lobster, the things you do to make a buck in college.
And now a big blue thing.
That blue thing.
He kind of looks like a gorilla.
Yeah, I could see that. You could get gorilla essence from him, sure.
And a lobster, if you think about it.
In the Colin Farrell sense. Of
Lobsters have horns on the top of their head, I think. They got beak.
Sure.
Lobsters have beaks, I think.
That's true.
They got big, long arms.
Wow. Maybe Thog is just...
Thog is a lobster.
Furry lobster. Who knew?
He's not a frackle. He's a big, furry lobster. Who'd have thought? So, speaking of the puppet got rebuilt for this movie because Thog hadn't been seen for 30 some odd years. So what do you know about the making of this brand new Thog? One thing I think we'll definitely talk about. He's a big guy.
He is.
He's a biggin this time.
This version is a biggin. So my understanding of the reason to even try to pull anything out of the mothballs, of which there was nothing, I believe it had been trashed sometime before, was that I always get confused of whether it's Bobbins or Bobbins. I'm not sure what the proper pronunciation of the director of the film is, because I've heard it both ways. Do you know?
I think it's Bobbin.
I think it is Bobbin. He wanted to see that recreation of the opening theme to The Muppet Show on the big screen in Technicolor with all new angles, and that was happening for him. And I do believe that one of the iconic images from that, in the opening is Thog coming down stage, flanked and doing the silly choreographic gesture. So if that image is something you cannot escape your movie without, then you're building this blue puppet again. And now that you've got it, you better make the cost worth it by putting him in other places in the movie. And again, that's just guesswork on my part, but knowing what I know about production, I'm fairly sure that was the way it probably played out. So when the Magnificent Seven of the primary cast Muppeteers divvying up parts, like we were talking about before, there wasn't really anybody for whom it would make sense. It needed to be somebody outside of the main guys. And again, as we were talking about, it was going to be a large character no matter what. We'll throw it to Tyler. My understanding is that when freelancer for the Jim Henson Creature Shop at that time, Jim Krupa, was given the task of figuring it out, there wasn't any sort of paperwork. There weren't patterns. It was just kind of a pictures thing. And my understanding is that he settled on a certain picture where the other humans in the frame gave some reference of how tall he should be. And I believe, and this is just scientific conjecture on my part, Mulder and Scully could come in and completely eviscerate this entire theory. The lens for the camera that took the picture and the lens for the projector that projected the image onto a wall created some difference, if you will. So when I believe Jim Henson was the main figure, who everyone knew was of a certain height, was measured on the wall to be his appropriate height, Thog appeared to be approximately 9 feet tall. Which, of course, we all know is not really the truth. But when it's just on a wall and you're not really measuring and then you're trying to make everything go. So as the main structure and rough lines and sketches and those turning into patterns that turned into the rough mocks, and then it kept expanding and expanding, eventually this thing is, like I say, approximately 9 feet tall and approximately 6 feet around in the middle from side to side. And probably with the yards of fabric that hung off of the structure, probably weighed somewhere between 75 and 90 pounds.
Oh, gosh.
It was large.
That's a lot. I can't even lift 2 jugs of milk. So how is that puppet, when you're getting into that puppet, what are the different pieces of it? Because I think looking at the original puppet, it kind of looks like there's the legs are separate, kind of like Big Bird. Then there's the torso, and then there's kind of a head. Is that the same on this new puppet?
Sort of. It's more like he's a big umbrella from which everything hangs, and then the head kind of sticks on top like a bobblehead, right? So my body creates the handle of the umbrella. There's a backpack like you'd wear when you're hiking with a aluminum frame with aluminum struts welded to it, supporting about approximately, I'd say 18 inches above my head, a large plywood disc. And from that disc, the entire character kind of hangs, including the
arms?
feet.
Oh,
and
the
the
feet.
arms and everything. Like it's all like just one big rag doll skin that kind of hangs from this. Now it's got, what we call the boning. It's got the support structure in it, so its form stays out, but it's relatively hollow inside. And the only thing giving it form are the ribs hanging from that central point above my head. And then the arms are from the inside. Again, if you're just thinking of it like a tube, like an inflatable thing you would wear, except there's nothing inflating it. It's just the ribs holding up fur. The tubes that are his arms, in those are those crutches that involve the forearm strapping or the forearm thing that you can kind of use for leverage. So I can stick a hand through what would be the shoulder hole down and grab the end of this sort of crutch, the handle with the figure of my forearm, so that when I sort of bend my wrist, it's as if he's bending at his elbow. So I can turn and make that forearm contraption as if I'm holding it in my hand, like something you'd pick up doggy poop with, and I can turn it and turn the wrist on both sides. But here's the thing. As I said, 6 feet. If I grab both of them, I'm pulling the sides of it in toward me because he's almost 6 feet in radius, really. So I can only do one arm at a time. Just decide which arm I want to do. With the other arm, hanging in front of my face from the large disc is a single stick with a couple of different Krupa-style controls on it. The mechis included two triggers and a slider and another pull, which just by grabbing the stick itself and pumping up and down, I could make Thog nod. So the bobblehead that's sitting on top of the plywood circle could rock as if he could nod. And I could do a little bit of twisting so that he could kind of sort of turn his head on that pendulum, or I shouldn't say that, on that fixed point that's above me on top of that plywood disc. And then the various triggers could open the mouth, could move the eyes a little bit side to side, could move the eyebrows a little bit, and could make the ears go boink. And while inside this contraption, there is no light. There is nothing coming in. It is completely black. The fur, the yards and yards of dyed blue fur are pretty thick. And the only way I get into it is it sort of hangs on a thing, and there was a seam, if you will, an opening in between his legs, which I referred to, and eventually some people on the crew referred to, but not as many as I thought would be humorous. I would climb into the Thog-gina and put one foot in and another foot in, and sometimes they would stick a stool under there for me, and every once in a while, if they were very kind, a fan, very powerful fan, tube fan from the outside would come in through same said opening and blow cool air inside. So every once in a while, there was a little bit of light coming from down betwixt my knees. But the only other way that I could see is I actually brought a light in that I could kind of hang. And then I had a sort of a sling-style drink holder, so I could have my water bottle hanging on another part of his ribbing, probably about where his liver would be, I don't know. And then I had 2 monitors hung in front of me. So as you folks who have listened to this information in the past, we monitor puppeteers, even those who are doing superformers, manipulate our puppets and our figures within the frame with precision because we can see a television monitor that is showing us what the camera outside of us sees, or above us, depending on what kind of puppet we're manipulating. So the only way I knew who was around me or whatever is if a camera was pointing at me and it was connected to the hard line feed that also came through the Thog-gina into my monitor, so I could see who was around me that way. But also, right between his eyes was a tiny, what we call lipstick camera, tiny, thin little camera, so that wherever I pointed his head, I could at least know what was directly in front of me / Thog. So those 2 monitors, a light. If I happen to bring a phone in, which I don't like bringing my phone to set, I consider it a distraction. So usually I'm just kind of sitting in the dark, watching and hoping that they give me feed by the time someone says action and I'm supposed to do whatever it is I'm supposed to do.
And that's all inside of Thog. That's
All
the whole
inside the world of Thog, the universe of Thog.
You have a light, you have room for a drink. You could probably that's like a condo.
Yeah, just about. It's larger than some Manhattan apartments I've seen, definitely.
We are learning so much from you. Thog is a lobster. Thog is an umbrella. Thog is a one-bedroom condo in New York City. That's interesting about the lipstick cam, because that's kind of what, very similar to what the Gorgs on Fraggle Rock would have. They'd have a camera in one of the eyeballs, and that would show them the eye level of their costume.
And in later seasons of Bear in the Big Blue House, Noel McNeil also had one of those in one of Bear's eyes. So you could also see.
Did Doc Hogg have one?
Doc Hogg did not.
Oh, boo.
Trilo occasionally played with one, but I wouldn't call it anything to do with work.
And I think that original Thog puppet, if you look at the photos in the video, kind of under his chin, there's kind of a mesh in the fur. And I'm assuming that's where Jerry or whomever could be seeing outside of their costume.
Correct. And that would have had Thog's quote unquote head right on top of the performer's head, which most of them were around 6 feet tall, makes him closer to, 7.5 feet tall. It's amazing how much of a percentage difference that is, it's only 18 inches taller, really. It's not, it doesn't sound like that big of a deal if you're just trying to work on your, on your dunking. I can do this, I can jump a little bit higher. But when something with as much visual mass as Thog gets 18 inches taller, it makes an enormous difference.
Yeah. He'd be really good at basketball, though. I don't think the hands I don't think they can grab anything, can they?
No, they couldn't really grab anything.
He could block.
The creature after whom Thog is designed could play the heck out of some basketball.
Let's talk about some of the scenes that he is in the movie. So let's unpin the first time we see him. He's kind of inexplicably joined the group in Rashida Jones's office, and boy, he takes up a whole almost half of that room.
Mm-hmm. And again, I think that's as much as anything else, it's a really striking visual image, because a lot of things, when you get a lot of puppets in a room,
they're all tiny.
You hear, they're all tiny, and you hear directors of photography and anyone who's worried about composition of the camera. There's a lot of what they call headroom, where you see all these puppets lined up across the bottom, and there's just nothing up top. It just looks like empty space on screen. So he's a perfect example, and obviously Sweetums and some of the other walkarounds that can kind of be in that space that normally wouldn't be occupied by anything because of all the short little Muppets. And plus, it's just really funny to see tiny little Amy Adams in front of this huge blue blob.
Yeah, and I remember that was one of the first shots in one of those first teaser trailers, and that was the first time we had really seen this new Thog. And you saying striking, oh my God, look at him, he's big, and he's so big on the big screen, he's even huger.
Yeah, and the color takes up so much of the frame. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, he's in a very visually pleasing blue. So was that a raised set, or was that a real office in some part of the Disney lot?
That one was a real office. I think they tried to stack people in such a way that some of the people close to me were at least sitting on apple boxes, but I think most of the other puppeteers were sitting on the floor. I was sitting in a chair, and Thog actually was really squished. The whole lower body was actually squished. That room was not actually didn't have a high enough ceiling for Thog to stand in that room.
I was going to ask if you were sitting or standing, because if it's a floor, you said you had a stool, you could probably just sit down.
Yep.
How did he even get in that room?
They
conventional
had to
door.
Bring him in separate and kind of put him on over me, and then I sat up.
I guess there's no other way. Couldn't bring him through the window or drop him through the ceiling.
Nope.
Cut a big hole in a Thog-shaped hole, like in a cartoon.
And what stinks about being in that position is that I'm one of the first ones in and I'm one of the last ones out. I'm in that spot for as long as we're there, because it's too much of a pain in the butt to get everybody out of the way and get that big old thing off of me and out of there. So got to be comfortable and just kind of wait it out.
Okay, so then I think the next time we see him, it's not until the "We Built This City" montage, and he's just kind of there doing a little dance with the other guys. And did you have to learn choreography for that?
it was kind of a free-for-all. It was so much of a free-for-all, actually, that during one of the takes where just like everybody move around, most of the puppeteers were down on the quote-unquote floor. The decking was removed, so I'm up on stage level. They're all on effectively orchestra level, so that they can stand. But it also means that I'm standing/dancing at the edge of a big pit. And there was a point where I was dancing around and I lost my feed and nobody said cut, so I just kept going and decided I was going to make him spin. And only after the take, and they got me out of there, did Bill Beretta kind of come over to me with sort of saucer-like eyes and this kind of I don't know if it was the thrill of when you get off a roller coaster sort of smile, saying that he was watching me and that I almost fell into the pit twice because I couldn't see and I was just going for it because that's what you do.
Well, is Thog thick enough that he could have cushioned the blow if you fell?
I think I would be more concerned about who I would fall on. I know enough about, theatrical, blah, 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 stage combat. Oh, gravity's gone. Just go limp, roll with it sort of a thing. The aluminum struts might have caused some sort of physical damage. And of course I might have hurt the puppet, but my large frame and the extra weight of that puppet crashing down on puppeteers who are looking down at monitors with their heads tucked, I probably would have broken a neck or two on the way down.
And then the big Megillah, the whole reason that Thog got rebuilt, opening theme song, he has to walk in front of the arches for this one because, as they demonstrate earlier when they're doing their little failed rehearsal and they're trying to pull Thog through, he's too big.
Yep. And that was something that we nobody had put two and two together. And until we were on set with him for the first time, nobody clocked that he wouldn't fit. So in our first sort of staging rehearsal, I looked, and I'm not sure who said it first. I think it was me. I'm not sure. It could have been one of the wranglers. We were like, there's no way Thog's fitting through that. It's just not going to happen. And no, he has to. He has to. But he won't. He can't. And with the way he's made, if you try to do it, it's going to deform his body. It'll look horrible. It won't look good. So we had to, for the heck of it, just try it just so everybody could see it. And it was funny enough that, as you saw in the montage, we shot a version of it. But yeah, Thog couldn't go through the arches.
Nobody complained, I don't think. Muppet fans didn't care that it wasn't a 1-to-1. They were just happy to see that guy.
There you go. It sets your mind spinning as to, does Thog always grow? Like if we come back to him in another decade or so, will he be even larger?
And then we see him again kind of at the end on, was it Hollywood Boulevard? Is that what it is? Or
yeah.
And he's just part of the crowd singing the song.
Hanging out.
Yeah.
And he's also Kermit's we gotta do this speech in the lobby of the theater, which we had to shoot in many, many layers in order to get as many puppets as they wanted in the shot as possible.
I've seen some behind the scenes of that where it's just like different green screened layers of, 7 or so puppets or however many that were working that day.
Yeah, I think there were enough puppeteers that we could do like 20 at a time. But with as much depth and as many as he wanted in the shot, yeah, we had to do, it was at least 3 layers that we did.
So if you guys were in like that back layer, were you actually in the physical theater space or was that all? Oh,
yeah.
And then everyone on top of that was green screen.
Yep.
Or blue screen.
I think the back layer was actually there, and then green screen, second layer, then green screen, front layer.
Crazy. Yeah. This is how movies are made.
Exactly.
We're learning
all the ingredients in a sausage.
So I think we touched on this earlier, but what do you think makes Thog so iconic? Maybe not beyond the fact that he's in the opening theme song that necessitated, let's bring this guy back. Let's make sure he's part of the family again.
I think it's just the sheer notion of scale. It's one of those things that removes the Muppets from being just, why isn't it people with makeup or whatever? You get to see all these creatures in all these various sizes. The same reason that one of the reasons that Fraggle Rock is so visually and intellectually captivating is all of these intelligent, lovable creatures of so many different sizes. There just aren't any other that pull your heartstrings to the same degree of his size, with as much mass as he's got. He's just a whole lot of heart covered in blue fur, and it's just neat to see this big old thing interacting with the world and all these other little creatures.
Yeah, and I think he's got like the history behind him because he was on all those specials and he did all these different variety shows. And if you look at that original Muppet Show theme, there's another monster that is there's 5 of them. They didn't rebuild Timmy Monster for this. I'm assuming that's a budgetary thing, or it's maybe not. Maybe they just didn't care about him.
I think it's, again, we're going back to the whole opening number of the Muppet Show. Justified all kinds of choices on this particular instance.
They could have put in Dogline because we didn't know that he was still kicking around until those live shows at the Hollywood Bowl and the O2.
Right. True.
Because they couldn't use Thog for that. It would have been way too big.
And he's not very agile. I got to admit. It doesn't matter who's in him. He's not very agile. He'll just kind of float across the stage and look around and then float across the stage some more.
I mean, I would pay $100 to see that happen at the O2 Arena. Thog just comes out, looks around, does nothing, and then leaves. Boom.
Plus, it's got to be ridiculously expensive to ship.
Oh, yeah. That's true. He's a big guy, multiple parts. Can't fit him in a shoebox.
Couldn't buy him a seat on a plane either. He'd be too big.
No. Well, I don't know what else to say, but thank you so much for talking to us, Tyler. We learned so many things about Thog. He's a lobster. He's an apartment. He's I think a gorilla. Thog is everything, everywhere, all at once. Do you have any final parting words?
Kudos to Michael Ostrom for donning him a few other times after I did, and to anyone else who has to throw that fella on their shoulders. And additionally, this is one of those instances where the Muppet Wranglers, who don't get spoken of as much as they absolutely should, are indispensable, because I can't get in and out of that creature without help, and certainly not without informed professional help. And they did an amazing job taking care of me every time I was on set. So kudos to the Muppet Wranglers.
Yay. Thank you, Muppet Wranglers. Thank you, Tyler Bunch. And no thank you, Lucas Ross.
70 Years, 70 Muppets is a Muppet fan podcast presented by ToughPigs.com. Hosted by a whole myriad of people and edited by them as well. Produced by Jared Fairclough. The Muppet 70 logo used with permission by the Muppet Studio with thanks to Danny Iglesias, Frank Reich Snyder and Lee Slaughter. Don't forget to follow ToughPigs.com on all social media platforms. You can support us by heading to patreon.com/toughpigs or buying a t-shirt at tpublic.com/toughpigs.